Plenty of Chelsea fans have been begging for a new goalkeeper this summer, losing faith in Robert Sanchez, feeling unsure when it comes to Philip Jorgensen, and being disheartened by the sale of Jordi Petrovic. The whole Mike Maignan debate was rife in and around the Club World Cup, but now links are starting to stir for PSG shot stopper Gianluigi Donnarumma, and things are starting to stir the pot again. But with all eyes already firmly set on the 20-year-old Belgian young shot stopper Mike Penders, the question becomes not only how do Chelsea most effectively bridge over to Mike Penders, but also can Chelsea win the Premier League with Robert Sanchez between the sticks? In order to understand what a Premier League goalkeeper looks like, we need to see the Premier League teams have won the title in the last 3 seasons. Liverpool conceded 10.2 shots per 90 in the 24-25 campaign, while City conceded 7.7 shots per 90 in both the 23-24 and 22-23 campaigns. In comparison, Chelsea conceded 14.6 shots per 90 in the 23-24 campaign, whilst in the 24-25 campaign, Chelsea only conceded 10.5 shots per 90, only 0.3 more than league winners Liverpool. Here you can see the stats of the last 3 Premier League winning goalkeepers. Of course, Alisson last season and then Ederson for the prior 2 before that. Alisson's save percentage and post-shot expected goal numbers were very, very strong, whilst Ederson conceded fewer goals, but that was also due to the amount of shots Man City were conceding, with his post-shot expected goals much worse than Alisson, even in the 22-23 season being in a negative. However, the trade-off for Ederson's worse shot stopping was his ability on the ball, with his pass completion and passes attempted much better than Alisson's. So the trade-off for Pep Guardiola was having that ball-playing ability, because he can cover for it with his Manchester City side sustaining so much possession that they concede fewer shots per game. On the other hand, where Liverpool are slightly more direct, they need that shot stopper where they're conceding more shots on goal to save them in those scenarios and keep the goals out to keep them in games. Which leads us on to this lovely graph of the Chelsea goalkeeping options. You have Sanchez and Jorgensen, who are going to be at the club next year, Maignan and Donnarumma, who have been linked, and then Petrovic, who has already left the club for Bournemouth this summer. Now, this will probably tell you why I wanted Petrovic to stay and fight for that number 1 spot. Although he was conceding the most goals, his save percentage, the post-shot expected goals, and his ability to perform against those metrics, the passes attempted going up, so his experience at playing out from the back in those short circulation passing moments were better, and his completion was up and better than Sanchez. Now, just to quickly touch on Jorgensen, his passing numbers and his passing ability is very good, but his shot stopping is one issue that I do have. And although those expected goals and the way that he's performed against those this season with his post-shot expected goal numbers, in the season prior, coming from Villarreal, he actually underachieved that by 0.06. So it's not something that is always above his standard. And I do think we've seen some examples like this one against Aston Villa, where his shot stopping can let him down. With Petrovic out of the picture and Jorgensen not really the number 1 choice for this position now, you've come down to Sanchez and Donnarumma, with Mike Maignan kind of going quiet. But what I think you get from Sanchez and Donnarumma, of course Donnarumma on a much larger scale, is the ability to pull off these worldy saves and actually make some huge saves to win your team games. Very big and imposing frames. They can get their hands on things that a lot of other goalkeepers can't. The technique of being a shot stopper is extremely well there. However, where I think a lot of the frustration lies with Robert Sanchez at Chelsea is the mistakes that he makes on the ball, costing Chelsea big points across a Premier League season. Now, Donnarumma does make fewer mistakes, but that's mainly because he has the least touches of all of these goalkeepers, because PSG actively don't want to put him in these positions, which will lead to mistakes, which kind of halts the way PSG have to build up. And I think that's a big reason why they've gone to sign Chevalier this summer. Therefore, when it comes to the goalkeeper position, the question for me becomes whether there's a tangible upgrade in the area that Sanchez is hurting Chelsea the most, and whether it's worth making that move or not. So with Donnarumma at his feet, the thing is with him is he's a little bit sort of erratic with the ball at his feet, especially in close quarters. Shot stopping, absolutely no issue. You've seen it in the Champions League. He can win games on his own in those small sort of sample sizes. And I was talking about this earlier, like I said on the podcast. For me, these sorts of keepers that can make huge saves in these sort of knockout rounds, and they will win you tournaments. Robert Sanchez has just done that for us in the Club World Cup. He has shown in one-off games he can be that. He can really step up to those one-off occasions. He has the quality and he has the natural sort of qualities and natural talent to be that for Chelsea. My biggest issue with Robert Sanchez to trying to win a Premier League is that it's not a knockout format where it's just 8 games or 9 games. This is a tournament that is a league format, which is 38 games long. And over that 38 games, it only takes 1 or 2 mistakes, 1 or 2 really poor games where his inconsistency shows through. And those bozo moments come out that people would sort of refer to them as those mistakes that cost us goals, which cost us points, which then cost us a Premier League title or a Premier League title challenge. And that's why, for me, Sanchez is not a league goalkeeper at Chelsea level. But he could, like we've seen in the Club World Cup, he has the ability to step up and be that. So I don't think it's worth bringing in another of that archetype, in my opinion, with Donnarumma, albeit much more high profile and much better than Robert Sanchez. I would rather either go for Mike Maignan and like somebody of that ilk who massively improves us, not only shot stopping, but also with the ball on foot and consistency for league format. But if not, people aren't going to like this. I think I would have stuck with Petrovic, but that's now not an option. So now I think, unless you can get Maignan or somebody of that ilk, and yes, I mean ilk with both off ball, on the ball as well, I'd keep Sanchez for another year, because I do actually think that you can make it work until Penders is ready. That is not me saying I wouldn't get rid of Sanchez if you could get a Mike Maignan. And yes, I would have also liked Petrovic to stay. That would have been ideal. I would have made Petrovic the number 1, albeit that would have been my decision. But that is now not a possibility, so we have to go past that. We have to move past that, and we have to continue to speak of other options. So that's where I'm at with Sanchez and Maignan and Donnarumma and Penders, because as Quiz Pursuit saying here, I know Donnarumma has some bozo moments as well. I'm just trying to see if he would actually be a marginal improvement. We'll pay him 200k a week. If we believe he improves us, he will get homesick in 2 to 3 years, and Penders can step up then. And this is what I mean. I kind of think Petrovic again would have been ideal, but if I'd just stick with Sanchez if you can't get Maignan for this season. And I do think that could cost you the Premier League. So, but I also think Donnarumma could cost you the Premier League for the same reason, because of the inconsistency. And I think that if you're not going to get that big jump to a consistent keeper for a 38-game league season, then yeah, that's sort of where I'm at with it. So now I'd like to hear your thoughts on this debate. Is Sanchez ever going to be good enough to win Chelsea the Premier League? Can he be consistent enough with his shot stopping to do so? Or will his ball playing ability hurt Chelsea too much? Would you move for Donnarumma, or would you wait for someone like Mike Maignan, who can make a tangible increase in the ability to play out from the back? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts on Mike Penders as well, how quickly he could come in, and whether you would have kept Petrovic as the number 1 this season.